Good afternoon, guys. It is December 4th, 2025. On this video here, I wanted to give you guys an update. In my last video, I mentioned that old 2002 hot point dishwasher was being pulled out and replaced. I got a couple of comments saying I would just keep it and fix it. Well, just to clarify, if it was up to me, I would definitely try to do that. But it is not up to me. We rent this house, and even if it was up to us, I don't get the final say in this house. So, it was replaced by a GE. It's a little hard to see, but you can see it there. GE. Very basic dishwasher. Now, that other one was a Hot Point, which is basically a GE as well. GE and Hot Point are the same company, if you didn't know. Hot Point is made by GE. So, so this is what we ended up with. Pretty basic. Unfortunately, none of them come with a timer anymore, so you got all this electronic panel stuff. But it's pretty basic. I mean, you've got a couple of options. You got all of these different cycles and stuff, so now the nice thing is when it's done washing, there will be a little indicator light that will come on next to the clean words. That's kind of nice. So this was just installed the other day. It was just installed. So far, what are my thoughts on it? Well, first of all, I've only run it once. And the first cycle, it did pretty well. It did pretty darn well for the most part. I will say that it's quieter than the old one. Not that the old one is all that loud, but it just is noticeably quieter. So this is what the landlord picked out. And quite honestly, this is just me, but I do not like stainless steel appliances, and I'm going to tell you why. It's a minor thing, but if you notice, there are drip marks showing, coming down where everybody's hands, you're handling this with wet hands most of the time when you're doing dishes, So, it just leaves all these marks and stuff. The white never really showed that. And the other thing I will mention is on this refrigerator here, they used to make this textured surface. You see that? So nothing would show up. So as far as the finish goes, I'm not a fan. If I were the one picking it out, I would go with either black or white, preferably white. But that doesn't take away from the experience of the dishwasher. It's just a personal preference for me. I've never really liked stainless steel appliances. I know they're popular these days. I know that's what the vast majority of people want, but I don't like them. I do not want them. So, I mean, if if that's what I got, I'll use it. It's not a big deal. But if I'm picking out an appliance, it's not going to be stainless steel. I can tell you that right now. So, with that rant out of the way, it's really not a big deal at the end of the day. It's just a personal preference, like I said. So, unfortunately, they come with this plastic lock here, latch, whatever. I'm not a fan of that. I liked the old one where you had the latch that would just swing over and clamp it shut. With this one, you don't have that. Although, unless you're running it, I just kind of let it sit. I don't always push it and snap it shut, unless I'm running it. You do kind of have to pull a little hard. And my whole thought process with this is, if you're opening and closing this all the time and pulling hard on that latch, it just is going to wear it out. So, my advice, if you end up with a dishwasher like this, or if you have a dishwasher like this, with these latches, just let it sit, It's not going to be in the way. It doesn't tip all that much. So, it's it'll just save wear and tear on that latch. And then when you do need to run it, you just push it to latch it, But when you're just loading and stuff, and not ready to run it, just let it sit. So, that is that. Other thing I noticed is there's no vent. The old one did have a vent. So my concern is when the dishwasher is done with a cycle, I'm concerned that, that condensation's not going to go anywhere, or that steam, and it's going to condense and make all your dishes wet. Now, we do not use heated dry if we can avoid it. We just don't find it necessary. It's just an extra step, and it honestly just adds more to the electric bill. So, because for me, I just unload the dishwasher as soon as it's done. I just open it and unload it when they're hot, So, I open the door and it just evaporates immediately. So yeah, here's some of the layout. I do like the fact that it has 2 spray arms. I think that does add a little bit more cleanliness. And yeah. Now, one thing I will say is I'm not too happy with this lower rack. It's okay. It does the job. I don't have a problem with the layout. I just don't like how shallow it is. It is really, really shallow. And yeah, it's just not ideal. But the silverware basket, I do like that. It is nice and big, and it's on the side there. You could put it, in front here, but it would take up extra room. It's really meant to go on the right-hand side here. And here's the model number, in case you're wondering. So overall, it's a decent unit. I've only used it once, but it does what it's supposed to do, and everything comes out clean. I'm probably gonna run it again tonight. It's not totally full, but kind of what I do. So as you can see, I've got bowls up here, and then just, coffee cups and glasses and stuff. So it seems to work pretty well. And I feel like we can get more in here because, the silverware is to the side and out of the way. And then there's no spot where the tower on the bottom jet has to come up. So that is nice. That is an improvement, I will say that. But, yeah, and I know a lot of people say, oh, get one with a stainless steel tub because you're going to be better and stuff. And I do agree with that, and I do understand that. But, once again, I'm going to just say this as a disclaimer. I did not have a choice in this purchase of this dishwasher. This was solely on my landlord. So, and anybody who knows about, rental properties, apartments, things like that, they don't put high-end stuff in rental properties. They just don't. And it's okay. It's understandable because most tenants just do not take care of things. So it's not worth spending a lot of money. So I'm not complaining about that. It is totally okay the way it is. I've only had plastic tubs in dishwashers. I've only had the old style with the timer, real basic dishwashers my whole life growing up. That's all we've ever had. So this is modern, and this is definitely a step up from what we had. Not necessarily in quality, but just in terms of layout and stuff. So you got your rinse aid here, and then you got your detergent cup here. Now, one thing I will say that I have noticed is this detergent cup is actually deeper than it was on the older one. And I've noticed that because currently I have been using Finish dishwasher detergent packs, and I'm going to get one out so you can see here. So you can see how they're kind of spread out. They're not like all together. Well, in the old one, it was kind of like you had to lay it in there a certain way and make sure that, everything is good to go. Well, this one, just drop it in there. It fits in there nice. It's like, it seems deeper. So, I don't think it's really going to matter. And honestly, we don't really care what type of dishwasher detergent we use. I just buy what I have coupons for, what's on sale, that kind of thing. I don't really care too much. I've been getting a lot of Cascade with coupons the last several years, but yeah, we just use whatever, and it works in this house. Heck, I've used just generic great value from Walmart, and it's worked fine. Not necessarily in this machine yet, but in our old one. And so, yeah, and we pretty much have only used pods. We don't use powder or the gel. I think we've used pods for like almost 20 years at this point. So, they just work. It's easy because then you don't have to worry about dosing it or not getting enough and stuff. It just works for us. So, but yeah, I mean, I'll use anything, Finish, Cascade, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. Now, I will say, now I'm gonna praise GE for this, for sure. If you notice, I'm missing a wheel here on my lower rack. I just noticed that today, and it was installed, 2 or 3 days ago. And I'm like, well, because this rack has been weird going in and out, and it probably still will be, because it's just, yeah, the way they design these, it's just not as smooth as the old ones. But that's probably what was giving us part of our issue, was this missing wheel here. So I call up GE. I will say that GE by far has really good customer service. We bought a GE washing machine and dryer back in January of 2024, and I think it was like April or something, May of 2024, we had the lid latch go out on us and give us trouble. Well, obviously it was covered under warranty, so we made a warranty claim. We called stuff. They sent a repair tech out free of charge, replaced the lid latch. So far we haven't had a problem since, but I will say that GE has very, very good customer service. So if you're shopping for appliances and you want a decently safe brand as far as customer service goes, I would say GE is a good option. And today's experience on the phone with the lady was no exception. She was very helpful. She just said, okay, we'll just send you out a wheel, free of charge. It's not a problem. So I'll have a new wheel come and I'll just pop it on. So customer service is excellent with GE. I will say that. Their machines may not be the greatest, but their customer service is outstanding. So you really can't go wrong with GE if you want good customer service. So, and GE is not the most expensive brand. It actually works. So, now down here you have your filter, which collects all your gook and stuff. And yeah, so that's that. Now, this is the first dishwasher I've actually had with a filter like this. I mean, when I say I've not had experience with newer dishwashers, I mean I haven't had experience with newer dishwashers. But I've done research and I kind of know some of what to expect. So that filter just lives down there. And you're supposed to wash it out, once a month or so. So, as you can see, just tons of room in here. Seems to work well. Now, yeah, so the cycles you have is a heavy, normal, 1 hour, and rinse. Now, I just used the normal cycle and it actually worked pretty well. It's very efficient, it worked really well, and yeah, pretty happy with that. Just kept it really simple, dry boost off, wash temp regular, just very simple stuff. And it did a good job. So, yeah, so Anyway, that about does it. Oh, and one other thing that I want to mention here is this, the way you install these things. Want to make sure that, see that drain hose there? Want to make sure it goes up as high as it can to the bottom of the counter and then back down. That way, if your sink ever backs up, it won't flood your dishwasher, because that will happen if your hose is not up high. If your sink backs up, well, and your hose is lower, then yeah, that's another place for water to go, and you'll end up with water in your dishwasher. So, make sure your installer puts your hose up like that, a high loop. So, ours did, but he didn't really secure it, so I went under there and made sure it was zip tied really good up there. So you want it to go up to the bottom of the counter and then back down. So that'll help it not flood your dishwasher. So that's something to note. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's a really good unit. It's quiet. I mean, it's not silent. I mean, some people expect dishwashers to be silent. This one is not silent. But I will say, I've only had older ones. Like I said, I mean, I've had 20-year-old dishwashers for my whole life. So, you know, this, though you can hear it, it is very quiet compared to the old ones. So, in conclusion, it gets the job done. So far, I'm happy with it. This is not a full review here. This is just an overview and first impressions. But I will give an update in about a few months. And, you know, probably 6 months to a year, I'll give an update and tell you what I think. Like I said, I've only run one cycle. But so far, pretty good. I mean, when I ran the cycle, everything came out perfectly clean, crystal clear. You know, the detergent released and dissolved completely. It did its job. So, but anyway, that about does it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And, yeah, so far I would say if you need just a cheap basic dishwasher to get you by, so far I don't think you can go wrong on this, but only time will tell. But I will give you an update in a few months. So anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos.